What up, guys? It's Eddie from Eddie Plays, and this week we have round 2 of the Greek Game Draft League playoffs, and I have not been uploading as far as the games for the majority of the season, and this could very well be our last week. We have a super tough game this week, and so I just wanted to give a recap of the season because it's been super fun, and extend to my viewers to let them know that if any of you guys want to join in our next season, it'll be held around the time that the DLC comes out, or that the first DLC comes out around June. So if you guys want to be involved, then definitely let me know. I have a Discord where we're playing a little showdown season in between. That's already started, but you can definitely join the Discord and just talk to people, and it's a ton of fun. But I wanted to go over our season in retrospect. So we are the Green Bay Pachirisu, and as you can see, week 1 we played against the Anaheim Mighty Ducklets, and that is Eddie, or Eddie used yawn, I should say, and Eddie. So this was a super weird game. So Eddie was not able to set up the land mode for when we played the first time, and it was. It ended up coming down to 2 Pokemon versus 2 Pokemon. And so, well, he wasn't able to set up the land mode, so we ended up playing in person. I mean, not in person, but like in the normal timer in game and not in land mode. And so we ran out of time with 2 Pokemon left on each side. Our HP values were about the same, and it all was going to come down to 2 rolls that were like slightly in my favor, but not by like a ton. So like if you go by like pure numbers, I win, but like Pokemon is never pure numbers, and so I didn't want it to be like that, and so I ended up asking Eddie if he just wanted to tie. I made a bunch of mistakes this game, and I believe at first I was like thinking about just giving him the game because I felt like I like did not deserve it. But then when I ran the calcs and I asked him for his sets, and it showed that like I had the higher probability of winning in the end anyway. Like I should have never said at the beginning, and I like apologize for it, that I was like gonna give him the game. I was just kind of upset at like how I was as I was playing, but then I was like, wait a second, these rolls are in my favor. I definitely don't think you should lose this game because like numbers are like crazy, but we should definitely do like a tie, and so we decided to take a tie week 1. We ended up replaying it after week 7. And he was able to get me in week 7. He was new to Draft League for the first week, and he's just been getting better each and every week. And he's not somebody that I want to play in the playoffs. Fortunately, I was able to avoid him. He's super good, and I'm really excited to see what he does for next season. Super cool guy and really talented battler too. But that was our week 1. Our week 2, so like we started off essentially 0-0-1, but then later on it was then changed to a 1 over him. So week 2. We ended up playing the Kansas City Kinglers, and this is who we play this week. We played this week in the playoffs, and so this is really interesting because we 6-0 him here. Like it was not close at all. We went Dracozolt, and we just kind of ran him. We just kind of ran all over him. He had no answer for it. And he had lost the first week. I believe it was kind of close, right? He had lost the first week 2-0 to the St. Louis Sableyes, who, spoiler alert, ended up going undefeated this season. So that wasn't too bad, but then I think that week 2 was a real like wake-up call. And so he decided that he was going to make a bunch of changes. He had a rain team, but it was very much so a one-dimensional rain team, and he added Sylveon, and he added Manectric as a lightning rodder. And he added Galar Stunfisk as a lightning, as an electric immunity, and all 3 of those put in and he added something else too, but I forget. I think it might have been Trevenant, but he added a ton of stuff, and he changed his team around, and he played so good the rest of the season. He actually ends up winning out after getting 6-0'd by us right there. He does not lose again. And it's just incredible. Like it was really good. He played super well the rest of the season. All of his changes have made his team incredibly scary. I think we went from an auto win in that matchup to now I think we lose the matchup by like a little bit, like depending on like what he brings. But we'll see that matchup later today. But yeah, so we were able to beat him there. But then yeah, he was able to win his next 5, and then with his bye week, he would end up like technically being 6-2 or whatever it is, or 6-2 because there's 8 weeks. Yeah, so he ends up being 6-2, which is super. Like he wins 6 in a row. I might have said 5 earlier, but 6 in a row after this, which is crazy, crazy. So week 3, we then play the Tennessee Totodiles, and this is my roommate Chase, and um, he's also like kind of newer to draft league, but like definitely not bad by any means. He ended up having a really good end of the season too. Another one of these teams where he did super well at the beginning of the season. I mean, at the end of the season, but the start of the season made it such an uphill climb that he wasn't able to sneak into the playoffs at the end. But this was a super, super close game that literally went down to there was a turn where I was choiced. No, I wasn't choiced. I was stuck into outrage because I ran Sap Sipper offensive Gudra with like substitute, I think. I can't remember, but I was choiced or stuck in outrage. I had just killed his Turtonator. And then he brought in Grimmsnarl, and so I'm like forced to go for outrage again, and he decides to sub or bulk up instead of just killing my Gudra. And so we make a couple exchanges because then obviously he's immune, so I get to switch out. I think that he thought that I had ran out of my turns of outrage, and so he was predicting me to switch, and so he went for sub. I believe that's what it was. I don't think it was a bulk up, but he's Gmax Grimmsnarl at this point too, by the way, I believe. But yeah, so we ended up doing that. We ended up having that trade, and then at the end of the game, I was able to stall him out and win with the Gudra specifically. So if he would have just clicked play rough on that turn that I was stuck in outrage, I'd probably just lose the game. But that was super, super close. So we're now 2-0 and 1 because we have a tie still at this point. So week 4, we play the LA Rampardos, which is Josh though, and he's been in a bunch of my free-for-alls before. I think I call him Joshua in the free-for-alls, but super good battler and also really, really fun guy as well. But I played him, and he ended the season with only 2 losses. He's the 3 seed, and his only 2 losses were last week of the season to Cyberwolf, the Kansas City Kinglers, or to Logan, the Kansas City Kinglers. And then to the St. Louis Sableyes, who were first. Wait, isn't that who we played this week? We played the... Yes. I get the LA Rampardos and the St. Louis Sableyes names mixed up sometimes. But yeah, so he only had 2 losses. In this matchup, we just kind of got outplayed. I felt prepared for it. But I felt like he just kind of outplayed me. His team is super, super good with like Obstagoon and Gmax Caparaja was pretty good. He got a... There was something that I was upset about, but I can't remember what it was anymore. But there was some sort of hacks that I was upset about, but then he gave me a calc, and it didn't matter too much if at all, if I remember. But I remember being upset. I think, I remember being upset. So it says 2-0, but his Rotom was at 3%, and I had Rocks up. And so if I killed the last Pokemon, then I won the game, because the Rotom can't come in on Rocks, it just dies. So it was super, super close, but he outplayed me, and we take our first actual loss of the season at that point. So we're 2-1-1 going into week... we're 2-1-1 going into week 5, right? 2-1-1? Yes. Wait. Yes. My math is so bad. And so week 5, we play against the St. Louis Sableyes, who are the other team that is they're the team that ended up going undefeated. Super good coached by Shuckle. And he obviously really good. He went 8-0 on the season with a 13 differential. Super, super good. However, if you look at the differentials, they're super, super funny because he went 8-0 with a 13 differential. Josh lost 2 games with a 16 differential. I lost 3 games with an 11 differential. And the Kansas City Kinglers lost 2 games with a 14. So he had a lot of close games. Like, he just kind of beat people, like, safely. But in our game, I did not. I don't know how to say this without sounding like because he deserves all the credit in the world for being a better coach and like preparing better than I did. But I did not take it seriously. I at that point in the season, I thought that he was undefeated because all the games were super close against people that I knew that I would be beating by more than that, like 6-0ing Logan, and then his was close, and just like stuff. And then he barely beat the Tennessee Totodiles week 1. It was just Tennessee Totodiles like sacked a Mimikyu when they didn't need to, and if they don't do that, they win the game. Like it was just a lot of super close matchups, and I was like, okay, I don't have to take this like too seriously because I think I'm just a better player and I'm just gonna win, and that was not the case. He prepped very well, and I specifically did not prep for the offensive prowess of Cinderace. That thing was so good, and that thing literally won him the match. I think it got like 4 kills in that game, but I could not handle Cinderace whatsoever. So shout out to him for that, dude. That was pretty dope. But yeah, he just out prepped me. He never misses Pyro Ball ever. I mean, it's like a 90 base power, but like 90 accuracy or 95, so you shouldn't miss it often. But he didn't miss a single one. We needed him to miss one to get us back in the game, and it couldn't happen. He had a couple weird turns in a row because honestly that should have been a 4-0 or a 5-0. But he had a couple weird turns where he sacked things that he didn't need to sack. I think just to like ensure that he won. And I think that might be like I don't know though. The plays were just so weird. But either way, he ended up getting the 2-0. Definitely could have been a lot worse too. Like he like really out prepped us and outplayed us. So yeah, like freaking kudos to him. But and then he went undefeated, so he proved that it was like not a fluke at all. But yeah, so we are now at that point 2-2-1. And so we've now lost 2 in a row, granted to at the time the 2 best in the league, and we've kind of solidified ourselves as like the 3rd best, and that just kind of it is what it is. So going into week 6, we have a pretty important match where we need to stop the losing streak, and it's against somebody who I've like played a bunch of times before, and although I don't traditionally lose to them, they're always super scary, and you just never know what's gonna happen. And that's the Gettysburg Gumshoe, which is as a lot of people would have known him from the ILL, and like before that is Isaiah or Fisher Plays or Mini Munch or like whatever you want to call him, but that's him, and we do get the win 1-0. This was a game that was absolutely terrifying because on the spreadsheet, it said he had Gmax Snorlax, but the week prior, he had made a move to drop that for Gmax Alcremie, and I prepped under the assumption of Gmax Snorlax, and so I had Triple Dragon that week against Gmax Alcremie. And moral of the story is I'm up 5-0 going into his Gmax Alcremie, and then he kills like 4 Pokemon, and it becomes a 1-0. It was just horrible, like misunderstanding from me, like completely my fault. And even knowing Gmax Alcremie's there, like it's just so hard to deal with as we find out later, because we do play Isaiah another time, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So then but we do get the win, so we're back on a winning record, and a win the week after guarantees us into the playoffs no matter what. We need some help to get a first round bye, because first and second get a bye. We need some help, but in order to get into the playoffs, which is all I really care about, I'm like, I just want to get in and then like see what we can do from there. I need to win in week 7. So week 7 is against the Trap City Tricity, and we are able to get that victory. It was a I actually can't remember this battle too much, but the Trap City Tricity, it was their first time playing in a draft league, and they did super well for the first time. The team had Galarian Darmanitan, and Galarian Darmanitan is always incredibly scary, just with like anybody using it, and he was also practicing a lot, I'm gonna say his name correctly. One second, I gotta pull something up. I'm gonna say his name actually correctly, because I always say it wrong. So his team name is the. I believe he posted something about it. Toxitrap City. That is his team name. I put it in here wrong. The sheet is all on me, so that's my fault. But he is the Toxitrap City, and he had been doing like a bunch of random battles just to get his like fundamentals going, because he had not done a lot of battling beforehand. He had done a lot of battling, but never like too serious. And he just got better as like the season went on. And week 1, he upset Andy, who was one of my picks to be like top 3 in the league, and he beat him 1-0, and it was like super close. But yeah, so he showed a lot of promise throughout the year, but we were able to get that one, which guaranteed us playoffs, which was pretty huge. And that was week 7. So then after week 7 was when we rematched Eddie, and so that now turned into a loss. And so we then went from 4-1 to 4-3. And so in order for us to get a bye, we needed the LA Rampardos to lose to both Eddie in week 8, who had been playing super good at the time. We needed him to lose to Eddie, and then we also needed him to lose to Cyberwolf and the Kansas City Kinglers in the last week in week 9. So going into week, and then obviously like we have to win also, but we have a bye in week 8. So going into week 8, there was so there's only 9 weeks in the season, and there was a ton of games that matter for the playoffs here. So like the Gettysburg Gumshoe and the Toxitrap City. They played each other, and the winner essentially had like a win in for the playoffs. And I believe that the Toxitrap City had a bye even, so I think they get into the playoffs if they win this game. Yeah, they actually do. They get into the playoffs if they win that game. And they lose 1-0, super close. And then the Tennessee Totodiles and the Kansas City Kinglers, it is a win and get in essentially for the Tennessee Totodiles. Due to a miscalc from Swift Swim on the Dreadnought, there was a miscalc with the speed, and it ended up being a pretty one-sided sweep for the Kansas City Kinglers. And then this Andy was the one. It wasn't Eddie. It was I needed Andy, and I needed right? Yeah, I needed Andy, and I needed Logan to beat him, and I thought they both could do it. Andy barely loses to Josh. And Josh played that amazingly, and his Hitmonchan with Assault Vest was so good. Like, I cannot get over how good that Assault Vest Hitmonchan was. It was insane. But yeah, so he's able to win that 1-0, which guarantees us in the playoffs, but probably the 3 seed, unless the Kansas City Kinglers beat the LA Rampardos, and we still have to win our last week of the season. So we're probably the 3 seed, but we could be the 4. But yeah, so that's kind of how that was going at the time. And then LA Rampardos and wait. Yeah, actually, see, I got them mixed up again. LA Rampardos. So we did need Eddie, and then we did need Logan. I'm just stupid. I got them mixed up again. But Eddie played super well. That was very close, and he wasn't able to do it. Either way, same result. We're now guaranteed 3rd and below. There's no way for us to be in that first round bye. So we're gonna have to play somebody in the first round of the playoffs. So then week 9, we get the Gettysburg Gumshoe and the Tennessee Totodiles. The winner makes it into the playoffs, and the Gettysburg Gumshoe do win that one. Super close game. Well, actually, I believe it ended up having to be a forfeit. It says 1-0, but it ended up having to be a forfeit, which is super unfortunate. But it is what it is. The Tennessee Totodiles had a bunch of stuff going on, and so they weren't able to plan the way they wanted to, and they weren't able to do things the way that they wanted it to be. And there's just a ton of stuff going on in the world right now as a whole. And there's also even more going on in Chase's personal life. So it ended up being a forfeit, which is unfortunate because you would want to see them in the playoffs because they played so good. But that means that the Gettysburg Gumshoe sneak their way into the playoffs. The Kansas City Kinglers 3-0 Josh, which means that he is now the 2 seed, which means that Logan, Cyberwolf, the Kansas City Kinglers are now the 2 seed, which means that they will play the winner of, and I win, so they are going to play the winner of me versus Isaiah in the first week of the playoffs, because Isaiah had tiebreakers over, because Eddie had anyways, so the first 2 rounds of the playoffs after this are the Anaheim Mighty Ducklets and the LA Rampardos. So they're going to run that back from this week where it was a 1-0. And then me, the Green Bay Pachirisu versus the Gettysburg Gumshoe. So I don't have the last week of the playoffs here, but I can tell you how it's going. We are obviously progressing now to week 2, or to round 2, and those matches will be finishing up. Mine will be finishing up later today, and the video will be going up later today or tomorrow. I'm not sure. But yeah, so the Gettysburg Gumshoe and me, obviously, since I'm playing in round 2, I won. It was another 1-0. It was a pretty comfortable 1-0 though. I ended up having to play around El Creamy again at the end, where I was it was like 3 or 4 mons up at the end, and only the El Creamy was left, and I had Assault Vest G-Max Duraludon, but just to kind of make sure that I was going to be able to win the game, I stalled out the turns of G-Max with Crustle and with Galar Corsola. Also, super funny thing about that match, I accidentally brought leftovers Galar Corsola and not Eviolite, and it meant that I pretty much auto lost to Shell Smash on the Cloyster if he got it up. And fortunately, he was never able to get it up because there was always the threat of like Will-O-Wisp or like a Strength Sap. So super scary. But yeah, so I was able to barely win that. Awesome season for Isaiah. Really proud of him for making the playoffs. I can't wait to see what he does next season. But it was definitely super hype watching him have to win the last 3 games of the season to make it into the playoffs, and he did. It was definitely pretty fun. He made it into the playoffs with a -14 differential though, which is kind of crazy because only top 6 made it in. It's kind of insane. But then there was Eddie versus Josh, and that ended up being a 2-0 or a 3-0 for Josh. And so Josh is going to go on to play Shuckle now. It'll be the rematch of earlier in the season, Josh and Shuckle, and then me versus Logan. So me versus Cyberwolf. Yeah, so we will see like at least one of those, maybe both of those matches on my channel later on. But this video was just to kind of go over the entire season, and then kind of reach out to any of you guys on my YouTube channel that were there back in the ILL days, back in X and Y, that maybe want to play in a draft league again. I can't let everybody in, obviously, but definitely send me a message on Twitter. My Twitter's in the description, or put it in a comment on the video, and let me know if any of you guys want to be in. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Order Outback Steakhouse online now, and I will see you guys next time. Later.